problem with IT sector now is because of the IT boom, the mechanical engineer wants to be an IT, electrical, civil, everybody wants to jump into IT just because it's a high paying job.
The educators, the teachers, most of the times they also don't know anything apart from whatever there is in the book.
Apart from their curriculum, they don't know what's the...
Even technological progress happening, but I feel on one side this is happening, on the other side we have the same schools, same syllabus, and we expect change. So I think the change every 300-400 kilometers you find totally a different culture, different cuisine, the language we speak.
There is a different perception to street food. It's always considered to be unhygienic. Okay, if that's the mindset, let's be honest.
That's what, like, when we consider Panipuri, that's the most difficult dish to create or for all palates.
That's where the government has gone wrong. Giving freebies is like you're giving free money. If you are able to get 2 kilos of rice today and you don't have to work, why would anybody bother? Because your tummy is full.
Hello everyone. In today's episode of Dare to Begin, we have two really dynamic entrepreneurs with me who's running two different companies. One side they are running an engineering automation company. On the other side, diametrically opposite, they are running a street food business in a very authentic way. So I have two interesting personalities with me, Naveen and Murali. Welcome to the show. So would love to know more from your experience of running these two different kind of business. I know you guys have started with engineering and automation. So I came to know that you guys work with top companies in India like HUL ITC, and you provide them with customized machineries and automation solutions, which is very interesting. I would love to know more about that. But on the other side, recently you guys have ventured into food business, which is very interesting to know. So that is one of the important reasons why I wanted to have a conversation with you guys. Give a little bit of introduction about how you have started a engineering firm which solves a tech problem for larger enterprises and now into food business. I want to know about the journey, how you guys have met, how you have started, and how this new venture now.
Okay. Wow. From equations to exquisite flavors. Okay. We both are engineers. Okay. Electronics background. So Naveen is my junior in my college actually. Okay. But I started off my career in Europe and then came back to India. Then I met him. So coming back to India, we started this business for machine building and all that. So the venture started in my car park inside my house. So we started with small machines, and then that took off like a rocket. So the growth was tremendous for us. So then we have our own company in Yeshwantpur, and then built 2 units actually. So after that, like when we were working in our garage, we used to work overtime, like up to 1 o'clock. So every day, we both are chat lovers. So every day we used to go for chats. Every day, evening food is chats for us. Okay. So we just go around, look for any street food, and then we just experience the flavors. So that's when kind of that's where kind of the journey started for from engineering to food, so we were solving precision problem solvings, and like we had a lot of challenges in engineering, but then we transferred that into food in the same mindset, which is kind of gave birth to ChaatPot.
Great. So ChaatPot is your new venture, which is you guys are venturing into the food business. I would love to know the reason behind the name ChaatPot and how you are going to address a particular problem, because this is something which is available in every street of India. So everywhere you find a Panipuri, Tela, and everywhere you will get Pav Bhaji and like other dosa, idli, whatever it is, because every part of India have different types of cuisine. And love to know what is so unique about ChaatPot. And before that, I would also want to understand about your engineering side of things, Naveen. So you can.
Yeah. So I also graduated from Siddhaganga Institute of Technology, like same college we both. Murali is my super senior, so we met with common friend. So after my engineering, I started my own food company, where I used to manufacture fruit juices, natural fruit juices without any artificial flavors and colors. The brand name was Huklu. So I ran it for around 4 to 5 years. Since it was a FMCG brand and I was running in my hometown, the market access was very difficult in during those times. It was in 2013-14. So after 4 5 years, like somewhere maybe 2017,
Yes.
we met each other by common friend. And during that time, both I was also engineering, he was also into machine building. So our frequency matched and we started machine building. So in that machine building journey, that's what as you mentioned, during night times we used to search for different street foods and everywhere around the Bangalore. The major thing what we missed in Bangalore was, the local authentic chats under single roof. It was like in night, if you go to any other, like we'll get pizza and burger. It is most commonly the food item what we get. But the regular or Panipuri or the Bangarpeta chats or Bangalore local chats, it was very difficult to get it in our street or anywhere. So it was like in our mind from 2 years back we were thinking of this project, but we didn't get the time. So we thought we'll venture into this, and we started the chatbot.
Fine. So before getting into ChatPot, I want to know how does it feel to pivot, because I've met a lot of entrepreneurs, and it is while you are engrossed in something, when you are actually solving a larger problem, it is very lot of entrepreneurs want to start another venture and get into multiple things, but quite a few actually were able to execute it. So how does it feel in terms of starting a new venture while you are running the other one successfully? So, and two totally different kind of business models, and let's say in one side you are solving larger enterprise problems by building machineries, on the other side like you are going to the last consumer and trying to serve the food that they like. So it's very interesting to know, like, how does your mechanism function internally?
If you look at it, I mean, from both businesses, like either FMCG or food, catering or engineering, at the end of the day, it's just a process. Okay. So here, when we're building a machine, we are looking at the quality of the machine, how efficiently we are building it, and then how it's just problem solving, basically, an engineering problem. Whereas when it comes to food, again, it's a quality. Quality is the main thing. Okay, if we don't get the taste or the same authenticity, it's not going to work, right? So we have to address the quality. Then efficiently how we make the dish, like every time how we get the same crispiness on the golgappa, or the sweet and sourness, a perfect ratio of sweet and sourness in our chutneys. So that is something that we had to work on. So that is as good as solving any engineering problem when it comes to food. So for us, adapting from engineering background to food business, it was kind of a spicy journey. But then we kind of figured it out that, okay, this is again just one problem: controlling the chaos, putting in the effort. That's it. And we are able to bring out that flavors, authentic flavors of chats from the streets, to with a hygienic and more kind of a colorful flavors.
Got it. So, ChatPot, the name ChatPot, like I want to know what's the reason behind the name ChatPot, because there are multiple different brands that serves Indian snacks and Indian authentic cuisine. So, tell a bit about how ChatPot came into a idea. Now, recently, like you have expanded to 2 new stores. So, how is the start? How is the journey till now?
Yeah, in the beginning, like we were going through the many names for this business, but the main challenging thing was trademarking it. So we couldn't trademark because it is already exist, or the trademark laws doesn't allow us to name it. So one day we were sitting in our central kitchen and with having a lot of chats around the table, and there was a pot in the center. So we thought, we are serving chats under one roof, so we can say roof as a pot, and why can't we make it as a chat under a pot? So we named it as a chat pot. So, and it also sounds similar to chatbot or chat something like that.
Right.
So it struck our mind, and
Yeah.
uh,
That was the next question I had, because ChatPot is very similar to chatbots, because right now every single person in
Yeah.
Bangalore probably discussing about AI and chatbots, right? So
yeah.
it's very sounding similar.
Yeah, that's what, like at chatbot, anyone can have a chat over a chat. So that's the main thing. We can build a community over it. So that's the main thing.
Fine. So, but where is this passion coming from? Because definitely, whatever I have observed, the most successful food businesses are the ones who run the business with a lot of passion. Like they run that not just for making money. I mean, in fact, every business is like that. The successful entrepreneurs are the ones who solve the problem and enjoy the process throughout, and not just doing it as another revenue generation stream. And I'm quite sure you had that kind of some sort of reason to start this. So what is it like? Have you because you guys have traveled across countries, and you have tasted multiple cuisine, so is that the reason, or like what is the reason behind bringing all the chat food in one place? Is it something working out right now, like because in every culture people taste one particular type of food, right? Like, but in a metropolitan city like Bangalore, of course we have people across different parts of the country.
Yeah.
So how is your approach towards deciding it?
Yeah, see, at Chatbot, the thing is we are not restricted to a single cuisine or single place. Here, we are going to cover the chats of India. That's a major goal of Chatbot. So, for that reason, we are going to have chats from Delhi, Indore, Mumbai, and as well as the Bangalore hyperlocal chats, that is Bangarpet. So these chats we don't get in any other restaurant. So if you go to any maybe 5-star hotel or any street side food, it will be limited to one kind of chats. So because Bangalore or any metropolitan city is made of multiple cultures, so we need to cater to, like, if a guy from Delhi comes in, he needs to taste his Delhi Golgappa. So we have multiple Delhi, Kolkata, Bombay. So these kind of varieties we are going to have it. So anyone comes to Chatbot, they're going to have chats from around the India. That's chats of India.
Fine. So, but the major problem in this particular domain is having the right chef, having the right people to work on your recipes and do it. Because majorly, when I have discussed with a lot of different restaurant business owners, so that's one of a very critical problem, because it's finding the chefs and the cook is the most difficult part of how did you solve that particular problem?
Okay, again, we had to go back to our parent company, engineering. When we cater to Hindustan Unilever, ITC factories across India. So time to time, we both have to visit them, like for discussions, for projects, and all that. So and when we visit across India, our one to-go dishes or food is chats. So whether we are in Punjab, or whether we're in Delhi, or we're going to Indore, or Nalagarh, or Himachal Pradesh, we always try to go to a very authentic or street side food where we get local flavors rather than going to a typical roti, naan serving restaurants. So that's kind of gave us an idea about the flavors across India, how vast the varieties of chats that we can get. Because being in Bangalore for such a long time, all we had seen is Bangalore chats, like maybe Bangarpet or some masal puris and panipuris. But having that exposure, traveling and eating, and then we might have interrogated all the street vendors that we have seen. How is this flavor and what's his story? So we had so many questions, and that kind of triggered or gave us an idea about how about we bring everything under one roof. It's not just about Bangalore. It's not just about Delhi. It's not about Indore. Let's take it to a pan India. I mean, anything that's available, authentic or good, popular chats in indoor, why don't we bring it under one roof? Okay. So during this journey, we also happen to meet a lot of people who have similar kind of mindsets. So we have in our team, I have people from Bengal, okay, from Kolkata, who are making same authentic dishes that are made in Kolkata. So they're keeping the soul. They're just redecorating the dish. Okay. So if you eat our chats here, you can eat the same chat in Kolkata. There won't be any difference. So that's the idea of it. Okay. So that's how, like, we have people from Varanasi, we have people from Indore in our team, and we have even people from Bangapet here, local. So they're all coming together and they're creating this fusion of dishes. So at the end of the day, we want to keep the same flavor, same authenticity, but give a different look to the dish so that everybody can look at it and stand out. Our dishes can stand out. So that's how the whole team is built. It's not just about a few people coming together and then doing the same thing. It's people across India coming together and with the same passion. So as you said, it's not just about making money. And at the end of the day, businesses are making money. But for us, when the journey started, it's not about making money.
I've always been inspired by the diversity of our country, like the way every 300-400 kilometers you find totally a different culture, different cuisine, the language we speak change. And I read recently somewhere it is very similar to how Europe has a market, because since you said you are from Europe, can you draw a comparison between how the multiple countries within Europe is very similar to the multiple states within India, and how did you see this as a, because I like, though if you see politically and in general, there are a lot of misconceptions about South Indians understanding about North Indians and vice versa, right? Like people but people who have traveled across these places will know the beauty of each and every place. So I would want to know from you, since you have traveled in Europe and also in India and understanding it, so how this can be like a magical strength for us as a country, especially in the food and beverage category. I'm quite sure every district in the country have something unique to offer. So now ChaatPot is trying to address it. So how do you see this?
See, I'm glad you asked me this question, because see, one major thing that I see with our people, across India. So in India, when we are here, it's always your Tamilian, Kannadiga, Marathi. So all this, differentiation will come. But when we are outside India, we all Indians. You could see that, there is a dandiya. Okay. So a South Indian, dancing for a dandiya. And then there is Holi. And then there is Yugadi. There is Pongal. Like everybody is like community. It's an Indian community.
Indian community.
Yes. So it's like, big celebration. And nobody would think about, okay, you're from South India or you're from North India, you're from this region. No. So similarly, if we want to bring people together, it has to be something like this, something like ChaatPot, where you bring in every region together. See, you can't eat a chat alone. You need to have people having conversation. You need to have a group, having a chit chat. So that's why the name what we suggest is chat over a chat. Okay, so it's always bringing people together. So that's the similarity what I see from Europe and in India, that we have to have that mentality or bringing people together.
Yeah, so internally, like, we see a lot of difference, but when once you're outside India, you are an Indian. You are not.
Yeah, you're not anymore. Yes.
And that's a very interesting point that you said. Food connects people.
Yes.
So because nobody is going to say, I'm not going to have a Rasgulla, or I will not have a, let's say, a Hyderabadi biryani, because when it comes to food, nobody thinks about such thing. They want to just enjoy the process. So, in terms of your experience of traveling across the country, can you tell me how the menu is defined right now? Can you tell me about some of the interesting recipes that you guys are trying to bring into your menu? Or in general, your experience of traveling across the country, what are the unique things that you have observed in different parts and you wanted to bring it into ChaatPot?
Yeah. So in ChaatPot, we are preserving the authentic dishes. So we have made few categories. Like one is Bangapet chats, that includes Bangalore chats, and other is Kolkata style chats. Next is Bombay style chats. Next is the Delhi style chats. So we have categorized like this. And we have some of the fusion dishes. So, for example, we have something called Rasgulla Chaat.
Okay.
Okay, that is made of Rasgulla, regular Bengali Rasgulla, garnished with our Bangar pete chutney and tamarind chutney. So it's like a fusion of north and south.
Okay.
Okay, that's one of the dish. And next what we have is apple banana tea.
Okay.
So that is also fusion. It's made out of apple pulp and banana pulp, and we have a milk along with that, and tea powder. So this is one of the fusion dish. So we in a ChaatPot, it's like we have our own signature dishes along with authentic our Panipuri, Belpuri, and many other chat categories as per the region. So like this, we have categorized into different menu.
So, in terms of South, the taste that the South people have, and the kind of palate that the other regions in India have, like, because usually it is assumed that South Indians or in general having more spice than North. So when you are trying to establish a brand which is combining different cultures and different cuisine, what kind of R&D that you guys went into, or like what kind of research that you guys have done to address the different palettes? Like, is there any specific thing that you have done to
That's what, like, when we consider Panipuri, that's the most difficult dish to create or for all palates. So because if you go to Delhi, it will be of different, and Bombay, if you go to Bombay, it will be different, and Bangalore, it will be different. So for that reason, we have made something called three flavored Panipuri.
Okay.
So the three flavored Panipuri will have all kind of three panis, and along with served with different kind of puris.
Okay.
So these kind of dishes served under in single plate. So this is what we are trying to address, so that all culture, all palates will get addressed.
This Bangarpet Pani Puri also, like, because when I was in back when I came to Bangalore for the first time, I went to a shop near Whitefield and I asked for Pani Puri, and they have given me this white color water, which was totally different from the kind of Pani Puris that I've had before, but it has its unique taste. But after that, I was trying to find it out in different places. Not in every place you get that chat. So, because even within Bangalore, like, every street offers you different kinds of styles of pani puri, so it's very interesting. I would definitely would love to see what Delhi offers and what Bombay offers. So in terms of managing and bringing this and maintaining the cuisine like in a very authentic way, so how do you think it is possible? Because the global food brands like McD or Burger King or KFC, the way how they have expanded from USA and other parts of the globe to India, and they have sustained in a very uh, in a very interesting way, like, because the kind of recipes, the cuisine, are not native to Indian cultures. Of course, they have made some adaptation when they came to Indian market. They introduced vegetarian burgers, they introduced paneer in their burgers, but still, we are very much adapted. We have adapted to that culture, but very hardly I have seen Indian brand going from India to the globe and doing this kind of food restaurant chain in a very massive way. Of course, there are a lot of different people trying to do it. So how do you see this difference? Like, we are always attracted towards Western brands, but now I feel this is time for India to go back to the globe. So how do you see this?
See, there is a different perception to street food. Okay, it's always considered to be unhygienic. Okay, if that's the mindset, let's be honest with. But if you think about it, let's break it down. Okay, so the street food is cooked in front of you, heated in a high flame, fresh ingredients cut in front of you, mixed and given to you. Okay, whereas if you go to any restaurants, there are different ingredients. Some could be lying in a refrigerator for weeks. You never know. So, which is unhygienic or healthy? So more and more this generation, or maybe coming generations, they are trying to be more and more healthy because of a lot of preservatives being put on. We see a lot of articles being about preservatives, pesticides being sprayed, and all those things. So for us, the major challenge for us is finding the right supplier who can supply us with quality ingredients, whether it could be vegetables, whether it could be spices and all that. So we have went and spoken to direct farmers where we can support them but not using the ingredients, fixing the price for their crop, and then we can directly procure them. Okay, so we have been doing that to give that kind of a healthy options for our next generations. So coming back to your question now, like if you have a plate of sprouted salad like from a chatbot, or you have a fried burger in front of you, obviously these generation people are trying to take up the salad, which is nothing but a chats. So 70% of the chats that are served under chatbot are all raw and not even cooked, fresh ingredients cut. It's just the different flavors like the chutneys, the spices, and sourness being mixed, and then that gives you a unique edge on the salad category. Because if you go to any Europe, Caesar salad, it's very blunt. Indian tongue cannot take that blunt food. Like living in Europe, I was always craving for more spice and salt, which you never get in any European dish. Okay, so if we are able to serve like chats with a more flavorful, which is a very healthy options, I think that's where we should focus on. So that should address all our next generations requirement for us, I think.
Yeah, to add to his point, like in the back end also, while doing our recipe or any new recipe identification, what we do is we are converting the traditional recipe into weight based recipe and volume based recipe. So we are putting all our engineering efforts into that, and we have different parameters like to measure the chilliness. We have something called SEH. To measure the sugar level, we measure TSS, that is called total soluble solids, and we measure oil quality every day. So these kind of parameters we apply in the back end, so that every time we will get a good quality and the consistency wherever we go.
Right. So do you think this kind of recipes, like, because since you said you're trying to bring different states, different cuisine into one place, so how challenging it is going to be for scaling it up? Because the major challenge for any food business is to replicate the same recipe and the same taste and authenticity across different outlets. So I believe one of the reasons why people are behind this fast food are that, like, the same taste is when you buy a KFC in Bangalore or in Chennai or in Mumbai, almost the taste is going to be very similar. So that's I believe that's probably one of the major reasons for them to scale. Keeping the health aspects aside, the taste is almost maintained with consistency. So how are you going to address it with your experience in engineering? Like, how ChaatPot is going to address this problem?
Yeah, the chatbot, here we don't use any frozen stuff. That's a major thing. And if you consider chats, so chats is basically made of multiple chutneys, maybe 5 to 6 chutneys. That's a base. So if you go to Bangalore style, it will be of 3 chutneys. So if you take Panipuri, it will have some 3 to 4 bases, and even for the masala puri. So if we perfect these bases, we can replicate anywhere. So we are trying to perfect these bases every day by utilizing the parameters what I mentioned earlier, and by doing so, I think we can scale it anywhere in India.
Yeah. So just to add to that, like say like the spiciness of the chilies that we get today may not be same tomorrow. Right. So we may add 100 grams of chilies today to get the same spiciness, but tomorrow we may have to add 120 grams of spiciness to get chilies to get the spiciness. That's why, like what Naveen said, we have those different parameters, different measuring scales where we measure the sourness, the spiciness, and the sweetness in our bases. Right. So every time a batch is cooked, so we measure. And then we adjust the spiciness or the sourness or the sweetness to the required level by adding extra chilies or by adding extra tamarind, something like that. So that's the consistency that we need to bring out. Like as you mentioned in Burger King or McDonald's, that's what they do. See, everything is come out of a factory, so it gets frozen and then delivered. So it will be one centralized factory where it gets distributed across different outlets. Right. So that's why you see a same taste in Chennai, in Bangalore, or because those recipes are perfected and consistently made measuring these parameters in a factory on the back end, where the outlets doesn't even know what goes on. So they just have to cook it and serve it, right? So now we are setting up that process. We are in that level 1, to perfect that basis. Then we can take off, and then from the basis we can build whatever dishes we want to. Then we achieve that consistency of same taste and quality.
And I'm quite sure you will be in a much better place to do, because you are already in the automation space. And so tell me a bit more about your experience in working with this kind of large enterprises like HUL and ITC. And you guys have solved a lot of different kinds of problems like packaging and in pharmaceuticals and different industries, right? So how do you see the industry? How do you draw parallels between what you're doing now with an F&B restaurant-based business and your engineering side? Like, of course, we have touched upon a little bit about like how you measure things, certain specific things. But how is your experience there working here? Like, can you tell a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I mean, working with big companies is always about procedures. So they always have they have a defined procedure for everything. Say the way you pack an ice cream, the way you put a lid on a bottle. So and you put a label on any packed food, right, or a box, right? So it's always it has to be in that position. So and you see a clear procedure. Okay, and I think if we apply this to what we are doing in ChaatPot, I think we can get that same consistency and the quality, because a lot of the industries, across you go to ITC or HUL, any big companies, that's what they do. They set up the procedure. They first do the R&D. They then decide, okay, this is the right procedure. This is how we need to do step by step. They define, and then nobody will deviate from this procedure. So they call it as SOPs.
SOPs,
right? So if we are able to achieve these SOPs, then we are at that level. Okay, so everything is kind of an automated system where a person comes in, he looks at his SOPs. All he has to do is follow those steps, right? So that is kind of a takeaway for us working in bigger industries, where like setting up a process is always going to pay you back in a long term. Like comparatively, if you look at any local restaurants, that's where they are struggling, because they don't have a set process. Right. So they might buy a kilo of tomatoes today, which can taste entirely different. So they are not able to bring out the same taste today what they bought out yesterday, right? So then they struggle. They lose the customer base. Then they have all these challenges. Whereas if we set up this SOPs and whatever the dishes or bases are cooked, if we are able to control the spiciness and all those ingredients, then we are in that level, to achieve that.
That probably is one of the major reasons, as you mentioned, for many food restaurant-based businesses to fail very easily, because they were not able to maintain the consistency.
Yes. So I can tell you one story that heard from one of the top chefs, in a 5-star hotel. So I was having a conversation with him, just talking to him. I asked him, every time I take a chana masala, how come it tastes exactly same? Obviously you're cooking it, but the ingredients may not be same. Then he said, we don't cook it with tomatoes. In normal houses and all, we make a tomato puree and cook it. Yeah. But we don't do that. What we do is we use ketchup with curd to give you the same taste. So the ketchup, what they use is controlled with the same amount of sweetness and sourness, right, well manufactured. So you add curd into it, so you bring out the same taste every time you cook. So that's the difference. So now we can't do that with Chaats of India. So that's when we got this idea, okay, this is a key for us to bring out the exact same taste. If we control the basis, the taste, we're going to get that quality and consistency on our food.
How difficult it was to move into this space? Because, for example, you must have had some challenges, right? A lot of people have, especially food business is one of the difficult businesses to run. Like, it's easy to start, but it's very difficult to sustain. And even for starting, there are a lot of certifications that needs to be addressed, like a lot of parameters. Especially there is again cloud kitchen and your outlet based, where people come and do stuff. So what are the things, like, let's say I am a layman and I don't know anything about food business. I don't know how to start a, let's say, an F&B restaurant business right now in a city like Bangalore. What can you tell a bit about your experience, like how it started, and what are the kind of step by step process that involved in starting a food business?
Yeah, to start a food business, the main thing what we need is FSSL license. So after that, like if you are running a cloud kitchen, FSSL license will have a different category. And if you are running with outlet as well as central kitchen, so it's a different category in the same license. So along with that, we need to have a shops and establishment license.
Okay.
And labor license. These are the three main license. So the space is big enough, we need to go for a fire NOC and clearance. So I think these four licenses are important to start with. And the rest is related to labor laws. If labor law, like labors are more than 19 or 20, we need to abide their PF and ESI and those rules. So this is the main thing. So as of like licensing in the beginning, I think we didn't face any challenges since we are running already.
It takes a lot of patience, time, and probably chai pe charcha with some of the officials as well.
Yeah, that's the thing. And since we were already in business, it was not difficult in the beginning.
So, but in general, if somebody wants to start a food business, so what do you think approximately is the kind of investment they need? Like, let's say if somebody, I see a lot of cloud kitchens booming these days with the rise of these marketplaces, Swiggy and other Zomatos and stuff like that. So like, and I see a simple, in a small kitchen, like somebody is starting to sell let's say a burger or a roll, and I see a lot of people in Bangalore who start creating content and they go viral and they are competing with a lot of larger restaurants. So but for someone to start, what is the kind of investment for a cloud kitchen? I mean, I know it's a very vague question, but still in order to give a idea, would you like to?
To start up, I'll give an approximate cost per square feet for a food kitchen or cloud kitchen. For cloud kitchen, it will be around 1,800 rupees per square feet. So excluding the advance paid to the landlord. And if it is an outlet, it will come around 2,500 to maybe 4,000 depending on what kind. If it's a QSR, it will start from 2,500.
Okay.
So if it's a fine dining hi-fi thing, it will go up to 6,000 rupees per square feet. So this is a
So this is inclusive of your machinery,
everything.
Very interesting. So in terms of setting up things, like let's say now in the process of getting on to launching a brand while you are already doing another successful B2B, so now it is B2C. So how is this, like how handling a B2B on one side, on a B2C on the other side? Because there you have a different kind of conversations, board meetings where you interact with CEOs and CXOs. On the other side, you have to interact with like let's say direct customers or probably chefs who are coming across the country. So how do you see this?
In a B2C, the thing is, in a B2B, we'll sit in front of Zoom call or an AC room and we do a meeting. In a B2C, we need to bow down to the customer. We need to go to a ground level. Yesterday, we were serving to our customers in one of our outlet, and we are just removing the plates. These kind of ground level, base level work we need to do in order to service the B2C customer. So that's one thing.
And in fact, having a discussion with CFOs and CEOs are much easier and than serving customers in B2C, because they give you a raw feedback right on your face. they don't hesitate to tell you what's wrong or what can be
So
improved.
they are always right.
They're always right,
Yeah.
and and it's a very good for us as well as entrepreneurs to improve our setup, to improve the quality of the food, or at least we understand the feedback from the first hand from the customers. Whereas if it go like on the other side in our machine building business, by the time the information goes up to CO, it's already filtered multiple layers. So we don't get the exact picture what's happening on the ground. So we only look at the higher level, whereas it's always ground up. So it's a very good experience for us, and it's totally different. I agree, and we are actually enjoying this ride for now. I mean, so we both are serving and then also managing the teams, and also making some financial tough decisions. So overall, it's a good journey for us now.
So my next question is about that, like, because it's very difficult in a business world. You must have seen a lot of other business people as well. So running as a single owner and having co-founder or co-founders, so that's always a challenge, right? Because there is difference of opinion, and there are things that you don't agree with, and then someone wants to do it but other person doesn't want to do it. I ask this question to every entrepreneur who is actually having a co-founder and doing it along. So how easy or difficult it is? So like, how you guys have done it? So you have successfully done it on one business for over a decade, and now you are venturing into the second business with the same partner. So you didn't decide to choose a different partner. So how does it work? Because the co-founders conflict is everywhere. So I want to know how you guys have addressed it. Probably this will help a lot of people who are starting up today, and how they can also probably stick around and follow what you guys have done.
Like one thing, like for us is apart from like the age gap is junior to me, and I'm a senior. When you connect with someone, you always know, he always understands you, whether it could be a friend or your best friend in life. So he's always there, and then he will get you, so Naveen is that kind of a person for me as well. When we started with Design Pro Automation, we had similar ideas. The moment I say this, we'll do, we design this machine like this, he will straight away get my point. And he would tell me, and the major contribution to our success is our openness. We always open to each other, whether it could be a criticism, whether it could be an appreciation, or if we are doing something wrong, we accept it. Okay, and we are both honest with each other. Okay, so that's what made us both very compatible with each other. And so far I don't think there was any situation where
any single day.
not even a single day where we thought, okay, this doesn't seem right now. We never had that. So touch wood, and I'm pretty sure we're going to continue this way. And we have that kind of a rapport and compatibility with each other. So that's what we are able to bring out these two big businesses.
In terms of strengths, like, what are the departments that you take care of, and what are the departments that you usually take up to? So how does it work within two of you? How is the bifurcation of the work happens?
In Design Pro, I think he handles all front end programming, all those stuff he handles, and I'll be in the back end, so I don't talk much.
So you do the talking.
Yeah, we both understand each other strengths and weaknesses. Okay, so he's technically is a very kind of how I'm not getting the right word, is technically very sound. Okay, so you tell him, you give him something, he will come up with the solution, no matter what, or any problem, you come up with the solution. But one thing is, it doesn't want to have that business conversation with the customer, or negotiation with a CFO on any project. So he will push me to the front. Okay. So being in in Europe and coming back, that gives me an edge, because I was constantly in touch with people talking and then all that. So I'm being more exposed to those kind of talks. So I'm kind of looking after the business development and customer interaction, and also I work on programming. Okay, so it's kind of what do you call my passion as well. So I can't get away from programming. So though I have a lot of work on the business side, I still spend 1 or 2 hours every day programming, and Naveen looks after everything afterwards. Okay, so you take care of complete execution, delivery, and everything else, support. So he takes care of it. So that's how. But we haven't drawn any lines between the roles or you need to do this in no. So we always like contribute each other.
Right.
So that's how it is.
So most of the times it's not like very clearly defined also, because people think that we will when somebody say like we bifurcate our work, that doesn't mean that exactly there is 10 things that you will do and 10 things that you will do. So it's mostly about supporting each other and playing with your strengths and weaknesses.
Exactly. So it's just like we have this mindset that this is our business and we have to run it at the end of the day. It doesn't matter who does what. Okay, so you're doing this, then I'll take up this, or if you're doing this, I'll take up that. So that's how it is.
So on fundamental, like the basic level of trust that you had on each other, and because most of the times it's very good when everything is going right, but something is going wrong. I mean, that's where co-founders usually have that kind of a conflict, or probably not trusting on each other, or like probably defending on what they stood for and stuff like that, because this has happened with people around me. I have personally experienced. So I would want to know, like, how do you guys address a very difficult situation, be it in any business? So when there is a very tough situation, I'm quite sure you must have faced some of them. So on the toughest situation, like, how do you guys work together?
As I told you, the first thing is being open with each other. Okay, so any problem or if we sense that something is not right, we straight away sit together and we say, okay, how do we, like, we don't talk about the problem, we only talk about solution. So okay, so let's forget what we have done. There are mistakes happen. Like, we are, at the end of the day, we are just humans. We all make mistakes. Okay, nobody is perfect, right? So when that happens, we don't talk about you did wrong or I did wrong. So whatever happened. Let's look at how we fix this now. Okay, let's talk about solutions. Let's look forward, not backwards. Okay, so that's how it is. And major conflicts, what we have seen in as you said, rightly said, when there is confusion in the monetary side, that's where the major conflict comes, and also roles and designations. For us, it's neither like we never had that kind of this thing, either on the monetary side or on the roles. Okay, so because we basically do everything together. Okay, so either could be serving a plate of Panipuri or sitting down and discussing about a 3 crore special purpose machine. How we're going to tackle this, how we're going to build this. So we will be sitting, like, in our next 2 minutes we will be having a totally different conversation. So that's how our compatibility is, and that's how that's the openness we have. So I think that's why we have been like this so far.
Amazing. So it's great to know, because I've very few people I've met like who have I mean, it's not everyone have that kind of compatibility, because I believe getting a right co-founder is, it's like a marriage. Like, it's like having the right partner with you for a long time. So I'm very
my wife keeps saying me that like, Naveen is my first wife and she's the second. So that's true actually. Where any business is having a co-founder and a partner who understands you and have a same vision and mindset is very important. Because otherwise one will be pulling you backwards and when you're trying to move forward. So that's
So in your team, like after you, so like, let's say, how did you build up your core team? Like, let's say you guys came up with an idea. When it comes to your automation business, where you do core engineering stuff. So how did you build your next level of team members, and what is in general your way of hiring process? How do you guys pick up people? Because we are in Bangalore, and Bangalore is a place where every single startup is there, and they are competing probably for the same talent on the in every sector, like there is a every industry, every founder I've met, like the most difficult uh, problem is sourcing the right talent and aligning them with our vision and goals. So while on one side there is this bootstrapped companies growing stuff, and on the other side there is funded companies which are ready to pay any amount of money to acquire a talent in a very competitive space like Bangalore. So how did you guys decide to build your next level of team members?
Okay. So after us, there is a lot of people with us now today, and everybody is with us for a very long time. So I don't think we have fired anybody in our even in COVID time or any time. Okay, so those who have left us have gone for a better role and better opportunities. So probably some influence of European culture had in me, and I kind of passed it on to Naveen as well in that. So we don't restrict our staff on anything, and even when it comes to hiring, we don't look at the degrees. We don't look at how much marks they have scored in an examination, because that's just a college for college, to tell them they have earned this degree. What we look at is mentality, easy, willing to learn, easy willing to grow, easy willing to adapt. If we are able to mold anybody, we can teach him anything. So we have a lot of skills. See, we work on AI as well, but we don't tell. We have built our own neural network models for doing a lot of things. And we have built a machine which can run completely on AI, and we have sold those machines as well. Okay, so there's a lot of things that we both together do. But if we don't get the right guy, spending time with him to teach this or transfer this knowledge is a waste of our time. So that's the major criteria what I look at. There is a guy who is, I think, he doesn't even pass 10th standard, and he is one of the highest paid employee in our team, and he is a very good skill person. So you tell him something, he goes, he learns, he perfect that craft, and comes back and tells me, sir, I've done this. Now can you look at it? So that's how it is. That's the kind of people we look for. Okay, because we have hired engineers, we have hired diploma graduates, we have hired a lot of people, right? But a lot of them will always look at, okay, compare with IT sector, because when IT sector is there, people all like this generation, they all want an AC room, they all want to build apps for Apple phone or Samsung. That's all they want to do. They don't see any other world outside. A lot of opportunity, because in a way IT sector has a spoiled manufacturing sector, because they take all the creamy layer and they pay them 60,000, 80,000, 1 lakh rupees for a fresher who doesn't know, absolutely know nothing. As a startup, as a bootstrap, for us to afford that kind of money is not possible. Okay, so that's why we tap into another layer, like instead of engineering, like we go to diploma, NTTIs, and those who have that hunger to learn engineering. So that's why, if you look at my team, they are very young, dynamic, very enthusiastic, eager to learn, and they will be there from 8 o'clock and up to 3 o'clock in the morning if they couldn't find a solution. Right. So we don't tell them to work. Right. So it's their passion. So that's how we build team.
Even in ChaatPot, we follow the same kind of procedures where we don't overburden our cooks. So it'll be fixed times. And if you go to any other restaurant or any other field, there will be overburden with lot of works on here. So we have made a different departments, and we don't overburden, and we give all the facilities what they deserve.
The kind of problems that are there in restaurant businesses, as you mentioned, people working overtime. I've seen the same person is working for 16 hours straight from the morning shift till the night. So this is a very common problem that are existing there. So do you think that's one of the, since you're addressing it, so can you tell a bit more about how this problem can be addressed? Because most of the times there is a lack of resources also, but at the same time the restaurant needs to keep going. So how this can be solved? How are you solving it, and how other restaurant businesses can also address this kind of problem?
Yeah, the overburdening, again, it will affect our taste and consistency. So to address that, what we're planning is we have, say, one chat master. So along with him, we are going to have two assistant. So the requirement is only one assistant. So but we are going to have two assistant. So the reason being is like along with the chat master, the two assistants is going to learn in future the whatever the main cuisine what he is doing. So in maybe a month or so, we are going to create another master of same level. So by doing so, we can create a multiple shifts, say shift one, shift two. So shift one will be of the main master, shift two will be of assistant. So by doing so, I think we can reduce the burden on the main.
So invest more when you actually have the capabilities.
Yes.
Exactly. So the problem happens when we overstretch our resources. A lot of the startups, obviously, they look at their expenditure. They always try to cut down the expenditure. And one go-to place is cut down the manpower. Okay, but for us, it's a contradictory. We always look at, okay, we need to keep our staff, healthy and in the right mindset, and they need to be happy coming to work as well. It should not be like they should not be stressed out, and when they are coming to work. So the one way is making sure that they're not worked overtime, they're not stretched, and giving them enough support what they need. That's I think important.
That's
part.
applicable for both
Both the
Any
industries,
company, any
any
company,
industries.
and even the laundry and all the uniform we do ourselves. We have separate machines for that, so that we can maintain hygiene at our central kitchen as well as outlet. So we don't leave it like that for them.
Okay. So you mentioned about the European culture. So the kind of experience that you had and how that you have the experience that you had in your work experience when you are in Europe, and now you try to implement that in your engineering business as well as now into the restaurant business. So what is it? What do you see as a major difference in the culture of working?
Okay. I've spent nearly 13 years in Europe, so in Italy and Ireland, and I've traveled across. When I was there, I traveled across Europe, US, and all that. So the major difference, what I see in a lot of the companies or every company there, it's their openness. Okay, and personally, my boss or my manager or even CEOs, when I'm working, he would just come sit with me, and then he would just ask me, how am I today? Am I okay? And he would get me a coffee if I'm working to my desk and tell me, yeah, you're doing great. Okay. And he would casually put his arm around me and have a casual talk. He never talks about work. He would never talk about, the projects, what we are working on. That's kind of stuck with me. Because before moving to Europe, I had worked in India as well for a few months. And then this huge difference, because the hierarchy is something people here respect a lot, and especially the people go up the ladder, they tend to maintain that posture or ego, or I don't know, it's just that they become close to any type of conversation with their juniors, right? So that's kind of a culture that I have brought in with me in my office as well. So today also and every day when I go and talk to my engineers, and I always tell them one thing: you're not working for me. We are working together. You're working with me. Okay. So we always talk about different things. We always talk about maybe if I went for a trip, I will always tell him, oh, this is a nice resort, you guys should go. And then they will also tell their stories. And then when it comes to work, we always discuss, okay, how are we going to do this is the problem, and this is how we design, but there is a flaw in the design. But then when we give this freedom, when we give this openness to people, it does wonders. They start taking responsibility. They started thinking on their own. They don't look for an answer. They don't think that, okay, if I do something wrong, I'll be blamed, so I better not, I better wait for my manager to tell me what to do. So they don't do that. So this kind of culture, what we have built, kind of helped us people taking responsibility, and they are learning much faster by taking responsibility, rather than if it just comes from me, it's only one perspective. But if they start learning, they might look at different views. And a lot of the times what we have seen is this has brought out a better solution than what we have thought of.
Right.
Okay, so this is a kind of a European culture. That's why that's probably one of the reasons why Europe are much more advanced, and compared to India or in developing countries.
Mainly in the manufacturing sector.
Mainly in the manufacturing I'm talking about. Okay, so because they always support and encourage their engineers to do different things and come up with new ideas, problem solving abilities, and then this is all going to contribute to the company at the end of the day. And they also will have a feeling that they learned something new, they are also growing, they are also being recognized, they are also being empowered.
Right.
So they are like whereas if I one of my friends is still working with Infosys. Okay, is a project manager, is in a higher level now. So I was just having a chat with him, and then I asked him how does he interact with his teams, and he says he never met them. He has team leaders who take care of them. He only looks after the team lead, so he doesn't even know who is down the line. Okay, so like when we do this, like then it's kind of you're disconnecting yourself with your team, so you don't know what's happening in the ground. So there is no communication, right? So whereas here in our team, like whatever happens on the ground, we get to hear, so that we can respond and solve whatever it is. So that's what I think a major difference is.
Very interesting. So, and you mentioned about the other point being how the IT firms in India or in general, like the IT companies usually pay more to get the top talents, whereas the other industries are directly getting affected. So can you tell a bit about that? Because you're in the manufacturing engineering space. I feel the core engineers who graduate from multiple different universities in India have a direct job job correlation with the manufacturing sector more than the IT sector. So how do you see the talent is being under utilized or under nurtured in institutional level, and what kind of problems that you are facing? Because since you have different kinds of businesses right now, and almost probably would have interacted with all levels of people, right? So educated, uneducated, graduated, post-graduated, PhD level. So I'm quite sure you must be able to give me a wide range of experience in this.
Yes. See, when we talk about machine building, there's a lot of engineering streams come into picture. There is mechanical designing, so your mechanical engineering comes to play. Then we have electrical designing, so the machines has to be powered, right? So there is and then the machine has to be controlled, the way it has to run. And then the programming, so the IT sector. Okay, so and then one of the beauty of manufacturing is whatever you do, whether it's programming, electrical or mechanical, the product is in front of you. You can see what's happening. Okay, but whereas if you look at in the IT side, it's a big project broken down into multiple pieces, and you get a piece of it. You never know where it's going, what it's going to do at the end of the day. All you do is you get a problem statement and then you write a piece of code for that. Okay, unless you are a project manager on a higher level where you have an idea about what is this like a banking software, or is it like something other softwares. Okay, and the problem with IT sector now is because of the IT boom, like the mechanical engineer wants to be an IT person, he wants to do software, electrical, civil, everybody wants to jump into IT just because it's a high paying job now. And of course IT booming has got a lot of money and they can pay a lot more compared to industries. Whereas when you look at it manufacturing side, if you take any manufacturing, say your spectacles for example, okay, so where like customer can come and tell us, okay, I want to manufacture these spectacles 100 pieces every minute, you build a machine for us. So then we have to go to a drawing board, look at all the process, how many components are there, and then we have to go through the whole process of designing, R&D, development and everything. So there is huge costs associated with that. And also there is a risk as well, Say, if you are unsure about one process, say, if you put this, rim upside down, it's a failed process, right? And then you cannot manufacture every product 100%. So there will be rejects. Okay.
Right.
So how do you mitigate this? So there is a lot of risk involved in that. So we have to spend a lot of money on that. Press, when we do this, like, we need people who can hit the ground running, because we will not have a luxury of bringing in freshers who can understand this process straight away, right? So our institutes are not building the engineers to understand this process. They are making engineers to score marks looking at a book, theoretical. Okay, it's never been practical in engineering, neither for us, not for this generation. Okay, the diploma holders have much more practical knowledge compared to our engineering guys, engineering graduates. I don't know where we went wrong in that education system, but like, we are lacking in that. Okay, if I look at European education system, okay, carpentry is introduced from lower, I'd say, primary school. You get to choose what you want to become. You want to be a carpenter, there is a carpentry for you. You want to be an electrician, there is an electrician for you. So there is, like, you can find your passion, you can choose your profession. Okay, and you get exposed to all this, not just reading books, but hand-in experience. Okay, so that's what happening with our engineering system now. And everybody's looking at your GPAs, not the kind of knowledge you have in your head, So that's why, like, the IT side, if you go into any Infosys, all they look at is your degrees. You have good marks, good grades, and yes, you come in, we pay you this much. Whereas for us, it's difficult to do that, because we are not looking at grades. We are looking at a practical knowledge. Okay, if you are an electronics engineer, you studied about a diode. If you don't know how to use it in a PCB or what it does, you can give me 10 definitions of how a diode works. But if you don't know how to use it, it's as good as you're not knowing it, right? So that's the major challenge. And I think coming years, that's why, like, even the Chinese, we like, China has like export 70% of the machineries to globe, to every country. Why? Because they have built this kind of knowledge in everybody, or even their colleges, institutes. They're built for this. They build machines in colleges. They give this experience so that when they come out, they're ready for industries. Whereas for us, it takes years for us to train. And then what happens? They get to learn, and then the bigger firms, they offer them twice, or thrice, or even 5 times. I have one engineer who was offered like 10 times the salary, and he was posted in Finland. Okay, so obviously you get tempted when you're, okay, I have a job in Finland and I'm getting 10 times more. Obviously you will go. Right?
So this seems to be not like a problem of few startups, because this is a national problem. I feel this is a national problem, and according to the government and the policymakers, I think this is something they have to closely look at, because while India, like, they say that there are policies like Make in India is coming, people are saying that the manufacturing sector is booming, but there is a core problem where you are not producing right set of talents. Because I also, this is not just in manufacturing, even in media, even in marketing, administration, business, I feel once they enter into a workplace, that's when they are starting to learn what's happening in the real world. And whoever is smarter, they probably adapt quickly and they kind of grow up the ladder. But the kind of time that they spend, like, let's say 3 years, 4 years, sometimes 5, 6 years, people who are spending in institutions, probably top 2-3% or 5% of the institutes are able to work along with the startups and the business world, and probably change their academia based on what's the real life problems are and the real world problems are. So definitely, after you have said, it's very evident that a larger sectors, large amount of sectors, keep the IT and the computer AI world aside, there is a huge sector including carpenting, plumbing, and electrical work and manufacturing, where everything is also involved. So it's a little threatening, like while you see.
Yeah.
See, I mean, it's not. If you look at it on a bigger picture, like the creamy layer, where the top layer, the bright minds of India, right? They go to either IITs or they go abroad for master's degree, and then they sucked up by like bigger organizations. So we never get to see them in India, because like the perks and the salaries that they are being offered, no companies can afford it in India.
Yeah.
The reason they're ready to pay so much is because they know the value of their mind.
Yeah.
Okay, what they can do, what they can contribute. So that's how they attract all the talent.
Probably even larger companies know there is lack of talent in the market, and they want to attract.
Yes. So then comes the next layer where little bit smart guys and all that. So they get picked up by all the multinational like the Infosys, Wipros, IBMs, and everybody. And then the second layer, who either will be in a confusion whether to go higher studies or look for a job or something. So they are like in a dilemma where to go. And then like we are left with these categories, and then we have to choose the best among them and eventually train them, and then eventually we know that we're going to lose them. They're not going to stay for there, right? So that's what's happening here, right? And it's not just us, it's the whole manufacturing sector across India. Though India, like the government has come up with Make in India initiatives, they're offering a lot of incentives for startups, and they're trying to push manufacturing to export. Like right now, India is exporting only 22% of machines, and then we are importing more than like 15-20% or machines from Europe, China. China is massive now, but now they have cut down because they have put a lot of tariffs on Chinese, and then trying to force a lot of industries to develop local vendors. Okay, but still there is a lot of challenges, in terms of manpower, also finding right people to this industry.
See, as you mentioned, there's a gap between the institution and as well as the manufacturing sector or any other company. So at the same time, we have a gap of lecturers. Lecturer who teaches these subjects doesn't have knowledge of the real practical world.
Right.
Because usually what happens is most of you go to engineering college, they graduate from the same engineering college and they go to they'll be the lecturers. So they're not exposed to the real world.
Yeah.
So this is where the main gap the government needs to address. So it's not like the government can't just connect industry and an institution.
Yeah.
So they need to address or make lectures more knowledgeable about the life situation.
That's absolutely right. Like even the educators, the teachers, most of the times they also don't know anything apart from whatever there is in the book.
Apart from their curriculum, they don't know what's the.
So even in top MBA schools, I have seen the professors, of course, they would have done a lot of research and all, but the best way to learn business, according to me, is with somebody who has built a business. Let's say in MBA schools, probably there are some research academic people like who can give you greater insights, but the hardcore truth and the experience you will get from someone who has been there, done that, and have built things from scratch. That's a very valid point. Like it's not just about connecting the institutions and the businesses, but also having the right kind of people to teach these things. So I mean that the teachers narrows down to every single sector. Like let's say on one side engineering, on the other side again restaurant. Like the kind of people, everybody is competing for specific set of people from a specific set of state. Like I'm quite sure. Like let's say in Tamil Nadu, I can give a comparison. Recently, wherever I've seen in Chennai, especially, the kind of people who are working on restaurants, in other local kind of shops, or definitely North Indians and people from Bengal, Bihar and other parts, people misconsume that because they don't have a job there and they come and work here. But I feel there is a different level of problem, because the people who are locally available, they are getting a lot of freebies, which is good also, but at the same time these people are not ready to come and work for certain this kind of sector and certain low paying jobs, because all the basic amenities are being provided by the government, and I mean probably the other state governments are not providing it. Comparatively in the southern state, the governments are a little more in terms of giving freebies and stuff, but people misconsume that people here are doing well, and that's why people from outside are coming and working. So what do you think about it? I'm quite sure you must have faced problems on taking this blue collar professionals, like how.
Yeah. See, that's where the government has gone wrong for all of us. Like, not just one industry. Giving freebies is like you're giving free money, right? So if you are able to get 2 kilos of rice today and you don't have to work, why would anybody bother? Because your tummy is full. Why do you even think of working, right? So similarly, like, people who are willing to work, and if they have these freebies, they're not committed to work because they are coming for only a time pass or making some extra money. Okay, that's what's happening with the local people here. Like, and in my experience, what I've also seen is being a local person, kind of feel that they have this power to dictate terms and make decisions, which is completely irrelevant or not required, and then they can overpower few people. Okay, so that's kind of a mentality or an attitude from the local person, whereas what we have seen from other states, like, for probably Bihar or even Assam, there's a lot of northeast coming. They're coming here to earn because they have people to feed at home. So one person from the family comes here to earn and feed them. So they are down to earth person. They are willing to work. They're willing to learn. They're more adaptable. Whereas people here, like, though we want our local people to work with us, or they're not supportive enough for us. That's also a major problem.
Yeah, like our preference will be always a local, because he can travel, he can come anytime. The problem in restaurant industry particularly, these industries runs at peak level only during holidays and weekends.
Right.
So it's very difficult to convince the local people to come on weekends or holidays. So on the other hand, these the guys from Bihar or anywhere, look, anyways they'll be staying here, so they'll come over on any weekend or holidays, and they'll take a week off on any non-peak hours or peak days. So that is a major challenge in restaurant.
It's a very universal challenge in restaurants across India, I feel.
Yeah.
So, like, there were times before, like, when we were growing up, right? So there were a lot of people, like, if you look at our previous generations, for example, they were all committed to work. Like, if you look at HMT, they were all committed there. Like, they were working day, night, and, and we are not seeing that trend anymore. The Gen Zs are not like, no, they don't want to work. They want easy money. They just want to make a what do you call Instagram post, or even just spend few hours, and they just want easy money, right? So they're not built for hard work. They're not willing to learn. Well, I'm kind of generalizing, but there are exceptions also. But that's kind of a major shift in the generations, what I have seen. So that could be a problem as well. Like, of course, parents now, they want to have their kids to have all the perks, and like they want to be very comfortable in their life, and then when they grow up, they expect same level of comfortness. Like, when I was growing up, like, like, my father is a farmer, his father is a farmer. We worked in fields. Like, before next day was my engineering exam, and I was working in rice fields, planting rice, and I remember those days. I'm still thinking about those days where, like, I was able to do so much work, but I can also study and go to college and do all those things. But my kids, no. Like, that's even in my house with my kids, I can see the difference.
Right.
So the whole mentality has changed, from generation to generation.
So I feel in a very school level, from education level, things has to be changed, like the way we consume, because as you mentioned, like probably 2 decades back, like 10 years back, the kind of time we spent on internet and mobile phones were probably much lesser, or not, it's close to nil. Right? So now a lot of time is being spent on internet, and the businesses are being built on that, and we cannot separate these two things. We are involved much into it, and the way everything is growing, like it is inseparable, right? Like the kind of growth that we see in technology, AI, metaverse, I see metaverse is coming big time in manufacturing more than other sectors. So there are technological progress happening, but I feel on one side this is happening, on the other side we have the same schools, same syllabus, same kind of teaching pattern structure, and we expect change. So I think the change has to start from the root level is what I believe, and I have had a similar kind of conversation with probably a bunch of more entrepreneurs who came on my podcast, because everyone have a very similar kind of problem, which is lack of availability of right talent in the industry. So I feel together, probably if some policymakers are watching it, or if someone who can address this as a very primary situation across industries, because we have got two widely different industry examples, like one is like root level, like blue collar jobs in restaurant, and also top level manufacturing, engineering, automation kind of talents also, because the problem is common across the industries. So as a final note, like I had a great experience understanding about two different types of industries in a same episode. I'm quite sure people who have watched it till now, they must also have had that experience of understanding about the food industry as well as the manufacturing industry. So I'm quite sure we should do one more podcast focusing only on the manufacturing side of things. I really want to ask a lot of questions. Considering the time, I really want to summarize it here. I would like to know from both of you, what is your major learning as an entrepreneur? Probably you can say either one or two or three. What are the top things that come into your mind for being an entrepreneur? What is your learning? Because this podcast is about dare to begin, the people who have dared to start their journey from doing something very comfortable in a very templatized manner, but then breaking the pattern and coming out and starting something of their own and building it. So that's the overall ideology behind this particular podcast, Dare to Begin. So I wanted to conclude this session by asking you your experience of being an entrepreneur. What are your top learnings, Murali?
So one thing I learned, running the business over the last 8 years, is businesses are built by the people. With you need to have right people. Of course, you're driving the bus, but if you don't have the right people with you, they'll always pull you back. So it's always important whom you choose to be, with you in this journey, and you can build or make wonders or build businesses. So that's the key for any success, in my opinion.
Yeah. So in my opinion, there is no such thing called work-life balance as an entrepreneur. So we should be ready for every day, and every decision should be taken, and we can't be in a dilemmatic situation every time. As an entrepreneur, either we should be in this side or that side. Then only we can move forward.
Yeah.
So the decision making in a more decisive manner, in a more quick manner, makes us a good.
Great. That's two great learnings. Thank you for being on the podcast, and I wish great success for your venture, your new venturing into the food business. The way how ChaatPot is growing right now, we already have you guys have already made 2 outlets, and I'm looking forward to taste some of your unique recipes. And thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So you're always welcome to our outlets anytime. So please do visit us.
So which locations are this right now? They are available?
One in Basveshwanagar and one in Yelahanka. So anytime you're always welcome. And thank you, Arjun. Thank you
Thank you, Arjun.
for inviting us to your show. And it was really nice talking to you.
That's Naveen and Murali, for you guys. I'm quite sure you must have learned a bunch of things in this podcast. Two dynamic entrepreneurs running two extremely different types of businesses. So that's what I strongly believe. When you are in entrepreneurship, it's not just about because a lot of people right now want to start a business just to skip your 9 to 5 journey. But the point is, you should forget about work-life balance when it comes to entrepreneurship, because you are living the business, you are living whatever you are starting. So a lot of people have that misconception of skipping 9 to 5 jobs to get into a business, but it's more challenging, but at the same time more rewarding as well. So you can venture into multiple different types of businesses also once you establish one core business strongly. So that's my takeaway as an entrepreneur today, because I look up to entrepreneurs who venture into multiple different kind of categories, and I've always astonished like how are they managing two different types of businesses. And that's one of the reason I wanted to invite both of them on the podcast today. So cheers to you guys, and let me know what kind of entrepreneurs we should invite in the podcast in our further episodes. Still that, stay tuned, subscribe to the channel. It's Arjun Dhananjayan.